Hello, my beautiful friends. Today I wanted to talk about tick suppression and what happens in your body when you're suppressing, at least specific to my experience, because it's different for everyone. But I feel like this is going to be a good baseline for those who do not have ticks and don't know what's actually going on. So, what I've done is I sat down and I recorded 2 minutes of me sitting very as still as possible, trying to suppress, and then immediately after, an additional 2 minutes of me just letting my ticks out. And so, what I'm visually attempting to do is with the tick video, I'm layering it on top of the suppression video so that you can see kind of the images of me ticking over me suppressing. And my hope with that is that you can see that just because I'm sitting still and suppressing doesn't mean I don't need to tick. The ticks are there, I can feel them. I can feel them wanting to come out, but I'm holding them back. So that's what I'm attempting to do here for this quick little video. And I'll give some explanations in between. All right, roll the clip. Okay, so as mentioned, when I am suppressing, I can feel the ticks trying to escape. I can actually sense which ones, sometimes, not always, but which ones want to come out. You can see that in this clip, my hands are locked together. I'm holding them fairly tight. Even when they look loose sometimes, I'm still holding them with a good amount of tension, and my jaw is actually clenched as well. I'm trying to physically restrain myself, and so it takes a lot of energy, mentally and physically, to like literally hold yourself in so that you don't let the ticks out. You can see in some parts that my lips will be moving a little bit, or I'll move my eyes a bit more than maybe is normal. Those are minor ticks that I'm letting out because those I can get away with in certain settings, and no one will know it's a tick, so that I'm safe to hold in the rest of the ticks. I can conserve more energy for that. A lot of my concentration goes to holding back the tick. So if I'm in the middle of a meeting or something and I'm trying to pay attention to the meeting, but I also have to maintain suppressing if that's a setting that I'm in, a lot of my concentration will have to go to holding it in, thinking about how I have to hold it back, and then thinking about ticks makes them want to come out more, which means I have to expend more energy and concentration to continuously hold them back for a long period of time, which makes it difficult, obviously, to actually focus on what you're trying to do. Again, suppressing doesn't mean the ticks don't need to come out. It's not like I turned an off button. I turned the light switch up or down, on or off, bitch, cuff, cuff, cuff your cat away from me. My dad is so cool, da 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 da. Hell yes. So just because you're suppressing, it's not an on-off switch. It's actually more like a dam where you are suppressing and holding back the floodgates of ticks, but eventually your dam is not going to hold. It's not going to hold forever, and you'll have a flood of ticks afterwards. That's actually why in the beginning of this clip, I have a lot more ticks happening right at the start of this video, because right as I finished the 2 minutes of suppression, the next 2 minutes started of not suppressing. And so that first 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, was a ton more ticks because, yeah, basically anything you just held back is going to come out right away. Not necessarily the same ticks, but the same amount of tick energy. For me, I can personally only suppress for about an hour. And that's with letting the other little ticks out. At first, like 2 years ago, I was able to hold them back for maybe 2 to 3 hours with like letting out a lot, like needing to definitely have a couple 5-minute breaks to let ticks out. But I don't know if it's lack of practice, since I don't have to suppress as much working remotely, or if it's just due to my ticks are much stronger now. I can only hold back for about an hour before I end up having or chancing a tick attack, which is when you have a large amount of ticks happening and there is no hope for suppression, and it's non-stop, so you can't actually get yourself to do literally anything besides tick, which is what you want to avoid. So that's why suppressing is not a solution. It sucks because we will pay the price afterwards. And during that time after suppression, when you start ticking again, you might have a tick for the first time, such as like vocal or motor ticks that you've never had before will suddenly come out. And a lot of the time, they will only come out for that one moment, and you won't actually pick them up as a regular tick. It'll just be, there's this explosion of ticks, and your body can't handle it, and it's just throwing spaghetti at a wall. Everything makes it in. Coffee cuck. Like I said, for me, I can maybe do about an hour. But some people, 5 minutes is nearly impossible. We're all different, and each day is different depending on how you're feeling, how much you slept recently. It depends on what the day is like for you, but suppression is definitely not an indefinite thing. Yeah, so at the end of all of this, after suppressing, it is quite mentally exhausting and physically, especially if you're doing it for a long period of time, which means that you are pretty guaranteed to have a lot of tics come out right the moment you're safe. You don't even have to decide it yourself. Your body is like, cool, safety, and goes. And part of that to me is because a lot of my suppression is subconscious. So there are times that I can choose and actively do it. Like in this video clip, I was safe in my home. I could take whatever I wanted. I can cut out any of the bad tics so that you guys don't see them. But so that was me actively holding back. But there are many times where it's just like a safety thing. I just am worried about what the responses will be, what I'll take because I don't get a choice. And sometimes with Tourette's, especially coprolalia, you're going to say things you absolutely should not in that specific situation. And so it can be contextual, and you'll only say something like, for example, saying bomb in an airplane. Because I know you're not supposed to say it. I'm very fearful of going on a plane now that I have coprolalia because it almost feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I feel like I'm just going to tick it because you're not supposed to say that. And so the Tourette's is like, cool, that's a socially inappropriate thing for this specific context. I will say this. And it can go for other things. Like if you have anyone in your life who's going through a tragedy, you might accidentally say something and it sucks. So you're going to suppress when you see those people because you're afraid, and you'll have the sounds in your head. Like I had a couple when I went to a wedding. I started having tics in my head that wanted to come out that were specific to a church and things that you shouldn't be referencing happening in a church. But that's what was trying to come out the whole ceremony. And so, luckily it was only like an hour, and I was able to actually let myself do motor tics instead. So I looked like crazy if they caught me on the wedding videographer caught me at all. They're just gonna be like, what was wrong with that girl? But I didn't say anything wrong and inappropriate for a church, so I succeeded. Yeah, that is a little look inside of tic suppression and what that feels like, and why it is not easy, and why it is not a solution, and a little bit why you should never really ask someone to do that. It's my choice if I want to suppress or not. Sometimes that choice is subconscious. And it doesn't mean I don't like you and that I don't trust you to tick in front of you. It just means I haven't ripped that band-aid off of saying something super inappropriate in front of you yet, and that is a hard band-aid to remove. But yeah, I hope you learned something, and have a lovely day. Basically, that is my quick 2-minute coffee cat. A little peek inside what it's like to have Pikachu sucks. That's what Pikachu looks like on my dad's birthday. So that's a little bit about fuck off, cats suck. My cat is so fucking cool. She doesn't even speak English half the time. Is what my cat looks like. My cat looks like that. My cat looks so cool. She's so cool. I can't be a cat anymore. I'm gonna speak English now. Pikachu sucks.